Yo, it's Trent. Hope everyone's having a good day. Make sure you sub, share, like, comment. Check out my other videos. And we got Geeked on a Disney Safari. So, the keyword there is Disney Safari, okay? It's not a real safari. Yes, they have all the animals that you would see. Like, if you went to Africa, you would see like 90% of the same animals as if you went to the Disney one, right? The only difference is you're not gonna die. Like, that chance is not there, okay? Because think about it. I mean, if you're going to like some other country or continent or whatever, right? And you're with people you don't know and they have guns to like keep rhinos and stuff away, like that's dangerous. But if you're in Disney and there's a bunch of tiny kids and they got, bars on this bus thing you're on and you're like over a football field away from these giant animals, you get what I'm saying? So that's the difference, but that doesn't mean I didn't get geeked out, right? So let's set the stage. First of all, this is an animal kingdom, right? And they have this like jungle safari ride or whatever you want to call it. I don't know, and maybe it's not the jungle one. That sounds wrong. I think it's just like a safari, whatever it's called, right? But it basically looks like you're just riding a bus around Africa. That's what it looks like, right? You see like elephants, tigers, giraffes. You see all the zoo things, right? Now, I had been on it before when I was younger and alone, right? Like with family alone. But on this day, right, we were going to Animal Kingdom and it was me, my friend who is the exact same age as me and similar mindsets when it comes to, getting high before things and having a good time, right? So, that was the scenario. It was me, my friend, and my family, right? Or by family, I don't mean like immediate family, like my grandma, grandpa, and uncle, right? Same people that I always went to Florida with because my uncle lived there, worked at Disney, worked out, right? So we go there, and I remember we ate right before we went on this, right? Which gave us a perfect opportunity to get high. So I remember this still. We got chicken tenders and fries, and they were actually really good, but I thought it was a little messed up because they had this not chicken coop, but like this chicken zone right by the chicken place. So it's like, are we just eating these chickens that are right here? Like, what's going on? But anyways, we eat, right? And me and my friend go to the bathroom before we had fast passes for this. So like, let's say it's 3:50, right? We get there at 4 o'clock, we get to skip the line. So 3:50, we're in the bathroom right before we're about to go on this like 40-minute safari thing, right? So what do? We decide to get high as fuck. Now, when we would go to these parks, we would always bring edibles with us and we would always have, we'd always each have a pen, right? So I remember we were like, okay, let's pop a few gummies, which was probably, realistically, I ate like 4 of them, 40 milligrams, not that much, right? Because I never wanted to go too far in case I got like super high or super geeked out. But I ended up making that mistake. So I eat like 4 of them, right? And me and my friend would do this thing where we'd hit the pens like 2-3 times each, then switch, like here, hit mine. And then we'd hit it a few times, and we'd hit the nicotine and walk out. Like that would be our, that'd be our same routine pretty much every time when we'd go into a bathroom. Besides having to go to the bathroom, obviously. So when we do that, I'm feeling good from the pen rips. Like I'm feeling like up there, So I'm like, okay, let's get in line. We get in line, right? Like I said, we get to skip the line because the fast pass. We get on, right? I'm sitting there. Now, my friend's to the right of me, and my grandpa's sitting in front of me, right? Behind me, there's like 4 or 5 little kids just not continuously yelling, but they were excited, right? And obviously, I made up my mind, like right there, okay, I probably won't hit anything while we're on here, right? Because there's too many little kids around. It's never a good idea. First of all, you don't want them to see it and be like, what's that? I want to try that. And 2, my biggest fear is like, let's say I sneak hit something, right? Whether it's a cart or nicotine or whatever, right? And then I blow it and the wind blows it like right in their faces. I would feel tremendously horrible. I would feel like a horrible human, right? So can't do that. So we're sitting there. I'm feeling like mellow, like warm, like probably a 4 to 5 out of 10 high, feeling good, just warm. So I put my head back, I'm looking, and they're like, okay, we're gonna start the safari, right? So we start driving, and I'm like leaning back into the sun. I'm feeling great, right? And they said don't stick your limbs out the side, obviously, right? But I had my head kind of tilted like I was on a school bus. When you sleep on a school bus like that, right? And there wasn't a window, so I was kind of just like hanging my head out the side. And it started with all these birds and like we saw alligators and things like that, whatever. Not too cool, right? Like who gives a fuck? Not me. So I'm sitting there and we're messing around with my friend. We're talking, taking pictures of the animals and stuff, correct? Well, then we get to like we got to some like monkey things. I don't know. Maybe they were apes. I don't know what they were. But then the giraffe, and I've always had a thing for giraffes, not like a thing, but you get what I'm saying? Like they're pretty cool. It doesn't make sense how they're alive. Like they're like 15, 16 feet tall. It's crazy. They're like buildings. They're like a 3-story house just standing and living. It doesn't make sense to me, right? So I'm looking at them and I'm like, that's wild. Like, that's awesome, right? And then they tell us we're going to go look at the lions. Now, I was excited for that, right? And I know I'm talking through this kind of quick, but let's just say we were close to halfway through the safari, right? Like, let's say it was 40 minutes long. That first 20 minutes was like the birds, the monkey stuff, alligators, things like that. Then they were going to show us, oh, and the giraffe. Then they were showing us like the big animals, and then we'd be done. Like the first half was small stuff plus the giraffe. Second half, I think the giraffe might have been part of the second half, but then the second half's the bigger animals, right? As they're showing us the lion, right? They're like, oh, there's the mama lion. We got to find the daddy lion, you know? Because that's how they talk about it when there's a bunch of little kids. They're like, mommy, daddy, you get what I'm saying. So they're like, oh, there's the daddy lion, right? And my friend's joking to me. He's like, look at that daddy lion. And as I look to my left and like not make eye contact, but as I look into the lion's eyes, right? These edibles that I took like 30 minutes ago now, close to 40 minutes, boom, they smack me, right? And usually when I talk about edibles, I talk about how it either hits me in the face and then travels down my body, or how I feel it like in my back region, like over here, and then it travels up, right? This was kind of like those combined, but it took time for it to, what do they call it when, you hit something and they're like, hey, that's gonna take a minute, it's gonna creep up on you, creeper, right? You know, when you smoke and they're like, oh, that's creeper, you know, it's gonna creep up on you and get higher and higher and higher. That's how those edibles were, because they smacked me, and my first few thoughts were like, oh, this is perfect, I can handle this perfectly, like, I'm not anxious, I feel warm, it's warm outside, we're in Florida, there's animals, like, this is 100% perfect, right? Well, the only problem with that is that it was right as I was feeling it. I didn't give it any time to kick in before I assessed it, right? So I'm sitting there thinking that I'm doing great. I'm like, man, I'm not paranoid. I would have to get like, in my head, I'm like, I'd have to get like 2 levels higher to be paranoid, right? As I'm thinking that, it's like starting to hit me harder and harder and harder, right? By the end of the safari thing, I'm pouring with sweat, right? Like I went from feeling completely normal, like a little warm, not like hot though, to full on like almost drenched in sweat when we finished, right? So we finished and there was like a water zone for these little kids, like a splash pad. Dude, I ran over to that thing. I had cotton mouth too. And I'm sure it was disgusting. You don't want to drink that water at all. So I didn't drink it, but I'm getting drenched by the water now because I'm so hot. I'm like sweating. I'm like overheating, you know? But really, it was a combination of things. As I was getting higher and higher and higher, I was getting myself paranoid because I was like, oh, you're fine, you're fine. And then all of a sudden I hit a point where I was like, you're not fine. You're going to get overheat. You're going to have like a heat stroke. I just kept thinking of the words heat stroke in my head, right? So I run to that splash pad. I'm getting like washed off, and I opened my mouth because, like I said, cotton mouth, but I didn't want to drink it because I knew it was like, it's probably gross. So I just opened my mouth and let all the water just hit me in the face, hit me in the mouth, right? Try to get myself like all right. And my grandma's looking at me like, Jesus, what's up with him, right? And I get done, I'm a little bit soaking wet, but not terrible, you know? And I'm like, sorry, I just got really hot. Like, I was sitting right in the sun that whole time. They're like, all good, right? Everybody understood. But my friend knew. He knew, like, man, you must be high as shit, because I'm high as shit, right? And he had the shady seat. I was sitting, like, in the sun, but I wanted to, too. Because when I first got on, you know, I felt normal. I was like, oh, I'm buzzing, let's get warm. And then I ended up being way too geeked, paranoid on this thing. I'm looking at the lion, getting high as fuck. And I remember, you know, when you get those internal thoughts, you know, everybody gets internal thoughts when they get baked, right? Or like really baked. And I remember my internal thoughts were wild. I remember looking at them and thinking, like, Animal Kingdom. Imagine if they were actually kings and queens, you know? Like, think about, like, the Queen of England. I know she died, right? That sucks for them. But think about, like, if the Queen of England was, like, a lion, you know? And I thought about all these things, like the whole royal family, but if they were animals, there's like a zebra butler, dude. It was hilarious in my head. I was fucking dying. And I tried to explain it to my friend, but I just sounded so dumb when I was telling him. He was like, what are you even saying? I was like, I don't know, but this is wild. And I was like, just imagine, like, there's a jester, he's got to make people laugh, he's a hippo. It made no sense, but I was just high as shit, just geeking out, right? But that was the definition of that. That was the story time. That's what I did, right? Like, I was on this bitch, I got high as shit, and then I geeked out. Like, I did not handle myself properly. If I would have just sat there through it and been like, oh, that was cool, but, you know, I'm fine, it wouldn't be much of a story, you know? But the fact that I started freaking out a little bit, that's something, right? Another thing about Animal Kingdom is that where we parked and stuff, we had to walk back. Like, there's an entrance to the left and there's an entrance to the right when you walk in, right? Now, the bathrooms are all to the left and to the right. So, like, you can buy strollers and wheelchairs for disabled people, you know, things like that. So our car's to the right, and when we were leaving, I needed to go to the bathroom. Like, I needed to pee before we left, and it was like a 40-minute drive back to the house. So I'm like, listen, guys, I need to pee before I leave, right? So I'm going to go in there, and the yellow sign's there, right? Or not the yellow sign, not like the slip sign, but like the yellow tape, like they're cleaning it, right? And I'm like, I need to pee before we go. Like, I do not have time to sit in the car, wait for us to get out of the parking lot, maybe hit traffic, and then 40 minutes home, you know? I could not wait for that. So I'm looking around, and Disney's one of the most populated places ever, right? Like, if there's ever a time you're gonna go into the girls' bathroom to go pee, you do not want to do it in Disney, right? But I didn't feel I had many options unless I walked, like, you know, 5 minutes back the other direction. I was like, fuck that, I'm just going pee. You know, I don't really care. So it was an open door. I didn't have to knock or anything, but I announced myself walking in. I was just like, they're cleaning the guy's bathroom. I really gotta pee. I'm sorry, right? I didn't hear a response. So I'm like, oh, that's good, you know? And I run into one of the stalls and I just start going to the bathroom, right? And I hear a group of people walk in. I'm like, fuck me. Like, this is horrible, you know? This is like a movie scenario. This is not what you want, you know? But I just kept announcing. I mean, you could hear the pee. It sounded like a guy's pee. I mean, no girl is just ripping a piss that sounds like you're pouring out a water bottle, you know? So I'm sure they knew when they heard that. But I announced myself as I flushed. Like, as I was coming out, I was like, I'm a guy. I just had to pee. The guy's bathroom was closed, you know? And I didn't even wash my hands. I just ran out of there. I was like, okay, we're gone. We're out of this shit. Met up with the family. They're like, y'all good? I'm like, I'm good, right? And we dipped. But it was like, what the fuck? It was like, it's one thing, right, to have one event happen to you, like to get high as fuck, freak out looking at a lion, right? But I didn't need that secondary thing. Like, what's wrong? Like, what's the point of that? Why did that have to happen to me? Like, I was just trying to pee before going in a car, you know, casual things. And then Disney's just like, hey, let's put you even in an even more stressful situation. I mean, that one's super simple, but like, you know, it could have gone bad. I could have walked out of that bathroom being like walked out of that stall being like, I'm a guy, the guy's bathroom's closed, I'm going, and some girl, lady, woman, anybody could have just freaked out. They could be like, what are you doing in here? What are you doing in here? Peeping Tom. Like, what the fuck do you say to that? What would I have said? Like, I just had to pee, man. But alright, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you sub, share, like, comment. Check out my other videos. I'm gonna be posting. Well, I post every day. I don't know what I was going to say there, but maybe I'll try posting new types of videos. I've been doing those polls for every one of my videos now, so, you know, whenever you wake up, if you're planning on watching my video, check out the poll and vote, you know. Pick the video that you'd want to see, because I always have a couple ideas at the start of the day, and, you know, it's whatever you guys want the most, so let me know. But yeah, be safe. Thanks for watching, and you can hit me up whenever. I'm always here. Peace out.